Well, Jimmy and JoAnne, welcome back for another episode of Unseen Libya. We're going to be starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I think everybody really loves seeing you guys. How is everything in Texas in this first week of summer?
Hot, humid, you know.
We're much better because we have our internet back. We were down for 6 days.
Right.
Again.
People may recall.
They absolutely fried the modem, along with the telephone, the dishwasher, the
Router, computer.
The computer plug in my computer was burned out. A whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. So we're going to have a special guest today, and it's a guest that you have invited from Libya to join us via Skype. It's Dr. Mervat Madkour, and the doctor is just texting with me right now. She'll be joining us once we go live on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. It's really important that people get over to Patreon and sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne. They've been soft-killed and blacklisted, and therefore, this is one of the only ways that they can earn money. People who've been watching the show for the past several months know that Jimmy and JoAnne had a very lucrative business rehabilitating oil processing facilities with a very unique enzyme that they developed. And unfortunately, they've lost this extremely lucrative business. They were in Libya when the United States led NATO coalition destroyed that country. They've produced a DVD called Escape from Al-Qaeda. They are the only known individuals to have escaped certain death once captured by Al-Qaeda. People can purchase this DVD for $15 plus $5 for shipping and handling. However, if you become a sponsor of Jimmy and JoAnne's Patreon page at patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, you're going to get free shipping on that DVD, and it tells an amazing story of how you guys, were basically able to elude murder, torture, who knows what they might have done to you. We're going to be talking to the doctor later. What can you tell us about Dr. Madkour?
Dr. Madkour is actually Jason, not from Libya. She's an Egyptian PhD. She's in Cairo.
Great.
She is a good friend of ours, introduced to us by the Libyan tribes. She's very close to them. I think her PhD, you'll have to ask her to be sure, but I think her PhD is in political science, international political science. She taught at Cairo University. I think she's had some TV shows in Cairo. She's well known in Cairo, and she has helped us with a lot of information. And we are bringing her on today because of her knowledge of Morsi. You know, Morsi was just killed, and we're going to have an Egyptian, a lady who is very prominent there, who is known there, who is well founded in truth and knowledge, and talk to us about Mohammed Morsi, who he was, what he did while he was in power, how he got to power, and other things. So this is really a credible source from on the ground.
She's been under the weather for several days. She's really barely able to be with us, but she wanted to do it today rather than next week because the timing is so important, and she didn't want this story, the lies about what happened in Egypt, to go any farther. So she wanted to use her best strength today to be with us and tell what really happened. And
she'll join us she'll join us by audio, not video, because she's not well. But she is very knowledgeable, and she speaks good English, so you will enjoy her.
And I apologize for that error. I didn't realize that she was calling from Egypt, but that makes sense. We had just a few email communications before starting this show, but that's really a great follow-up to what we were discussing last week. People who saw last week's episode or have been following the news at all will recall that former president, the allegedly first democratically elected president, Egypt's Mohammed Morsi, who was a Muslim Brotherhood member and an ally to Hillary Clinton, died in court just minutes after revealing that he had secrets that he could share, which would basically be not good for people like Hillary Clinton and others that know a lot about the Arab Spring and the subsequent destruction of Libya. So it'll be really fascinating to have an Egyptian political expert who is a doctor and you guys personally know, joining us later in just about 25 minutes when we begin on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Now, sorry, I just switched. We were going to look at an article in the New York Times, but it won't let me look at it without turning off the ad blocker. And part of what we're trying to do by being on patreon.com is to get past this paradigm of billionaire-owned news organizations that are funded by advertising from other billionaires. There's been a little bit of pushback, Jimmy and JoAnne. I've announced that Crowdsource the Truth will be increasing the minimum subscription to $2 per month. Part of the reason I want to do that is so that some of the guests that come on, there are certain people who maybe enjoy watching your show but aren't interested in some of the other guests. I want to create an opportunity for people who maybe only have $1 per month to choose which shows they might prefer, and I hope that people will sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne. It's so important that we support whistleblowers who come forward with this information and who are not intimidated by these deep state threats. Tomorrow we're going to be premiering Larry Klayman. He did a citizens grand jury. Larry Klayman of FreedomWatchUSA.org organized a citizens grand jury last week, and we heard extensive testimony from Dr. Corsi. He spoke about how he was basically terrorized by the special prosecutor. He touched on the incident that Jimmy and JoAnne, you've shared with us, where the FBI came to your house, drove you guys to some unknown facility somewhere, maybe in Houston, asked you all kinds of questions about Dr. Corsi, WikiLeaks, stuff you know nothing about. You guys were in Libya, not dealing with WikiLeaks at all. So tomorrow, people will be able to hear Dr. Corsi's testimony and hear the things he had to say about both of you.
The FBI actually came here, Jason, to talk to us about Dr. Corsi. That was in October last year, because Dr. Corsi had been working with us since 2012, writing articles about Libya, the truth about Libya, given to him by us via the Libyan tribes gave to us. And because of that, of course,
he wrote more than 50 articles that he published on WorldNet Daily with information we provided him from the Libyan tribes, all of it validated. Not only did they validate it from the Libyan side first, but Jerry and WorldNet Daily validated it again 2 or 3 times before he ever put out anything. So very credible stories that he put out. One
of the documents for sure that he put out was that security document from the Libyan security about what happened in Benghazi. That document,
Morsi's involvement
in that, and that was read into the congressional record, that document.
Well, Dr. Corsi is certainly not popular among the Obama-Clinton set. So there's a litany of things that he's done throughout his career that I personally believe led to the terrorization that he and his family have suffered at the hands of the FBI, very similar to what you two have been through. And you've shared that with us over the past several weeks and months that we've been doing our show, Unseen Libya. People should really also be visiting LibyanWarTheTruth.com, Jimmy and JoAnne's website, where they are regularly making daily posts about news and information that they're receiving directly from the tribes in Libya. So this is a unique source of information on this particular topic. General Michael Flynn, who's just had a status hearing in Washington, D.C. in Judge Emmett Sullivan's courtroom earlier today, has described Jimmy and JoAnne as the best human intelligence source that the United States has ever had in Libya. They were on the ground. They learned more about the Libyan tribes, the politics among them and the people of Libya, really more than anyone else has ever known.
Yeah,
well, in fact, he confirmed that no intelligence agency had ever been able to get inside the tribes.
Yeah.
And when he posed that statement to Congressman Pete Sessions, Pete says, then why didn't you hire these people, make them your best friends, instead of attacking them?
Yeah, it's a good question.
No response. Yeah. I wanted to say one thing about Libya. There's been a new U.S. ambassador appointed to Libya. I think it's the first one since I don't know, a year or two. I don't know how long since they've had one. But this man, I don't know why he's been appointed to Libya. He knows nothing about Libya. He is a person who has his, I think his degree in international something. But this is a big problem that the United States probably has in every country, that they appoint ambassadors to people who know nothing about the tribal structure. They know nothing about Libya. This guy came out and immediately said it's going to be a political solution in Libya. Never, ever will it be a political solution in Libya. Libya is full of terrorists and Muslim Brotherhood and all kinds of other criminal organizations that are stealing money from them all the time. You don't negotiate with those people. It's been 8 years that these outside forces have been saying, oh, we need a political solution. It's not ever going to happen. They have to be forced out of the country before there's ever any solution.
JoAnne and I decided that all ambassadors and all diplomats for the United States are trained at the Cosa Nostra School of Pressure.
Right.
You know, they're thugs. We go in and try to beat up and blackmail everybody. We don't put anybody in any country that is going to try to interface equitably with that country's officials. We never do. It's absolutely a crime. It's a terrible thing.
The tribes contacted me immediately when this guy was appointed. They said, this guy's not going to help us. This guy doesn't have anything to do with us. This guy doesn't know anything about Libya. He doesn't talk about the tribes. Doesn't talk about the political structure in Libya, the problems in Libya. However, recently, just yesterday, there's an article that came out from the House of Representatives, the only legitimate government in Libya, that is saying that Donald Trump, President Trump, recognizes the fact that there will be no solution in Libya until it is cleansed of these terrorists.
Huh. Well, so perhaps Richard Norland is going to surprise us and do something good. I'm just looking at his Wikipedia page here. It says he's an American diplomat, and on April 2nd of this year, he was nominated to be the United States ambassador to Libya. I don't know what that process entails. Has he been?
I think it was just this week he's actually been
formalized,
confirmed or formalized or something, but he has no knowledge of that area. He was born in Morocco apparently, but to Americans he's not from that country.
Yeah,
he doesn't speak that language.
Yeah, he served as the U.S. ambassador to Georgia, which is a former Soviet republic,
right.
And he was the deputy commandant of international affairs at the National War College, which I don't know if that's great.
That's not good. And also he's part of Ukraine.
Well, he was U.S. ambassador to Uzbekistan, and as I understand it, Uzbekistan is the top producer of uranium in the world. I wonder what this guy was doing around the time he was in Uzbekistan 2007 to 2010. I wonder what he knows about uranium-1 and what this guy's background is.
What does he know about Libya and North Africa?
You know, the thing that I found really most notable about you two when we first met in person, I've said this before, you're two of the warmest, friendliest people I've ever met. Immediately I felt a real sense of friendship and comfort just being around you, laughing, talking, and I'm sure that this was the same characteristic that the Libyan tribes saw and were attracted to, and it's a stark contrast to the treatment that we have heard U.S. agencies take when they're dealing with you, when they're dealing with Dr. Corsi, when they're dealing with Michael Flynn. We're just about out of time here with our YouTube portion of the show. People will be able to enjoy the conversation with Dr. Madkour in just about 15 minutes when we carry on with the rest of the show at patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. It's so important that people sponsor the show, keep us going every week with this information. Jimmy and JoAnne will be back in just 15 minutes, and the doctor will join us. Thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Great. Thank you, Jason. God bless.
You're gonna